Hey everybody, Gurmy's Coaster Yard here, and in today's episode of Germanator Studios, we are taking a break from our Isle of Ages theme park, and we are going to get started on our resort property. We're not going to complete the entire resort today, but we are going to get a building design done. And to start, you can see me designing what I will call a modular hotel room. And what this is a small scenery piece that can be repeated over and over. So to make building a lot more simple, I will create this piece, a hotel room with the little porch out front, and I will save it as a custom scenery object. You can see me do it there. Um, Although I think I update this in just a moment. So you can see me adding a mirror image side to it and experimenting with railings, and eventually I get that all figured out. Now what I do is I save the left side and then the right side, and I do that so that way I can have individual rooms if I want to add, or if I need to add a smaller extension to one end, which in the end I don't end up needing to do this, but it makes things a little simpler. Uh, and it's a good thing to do at the start. And then you can see I took my modular double hotel room piece and I stacked it up 5 times. So we can have 5 floors to this hotel. And now I'm getting started with the overall layout of the hotel. And one thing I will say is if you stick around to the end of the video, I do have a surprise for you guys who have been watching the series for this long. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you how to build with modular hotel rooms because I think it's an interesting thing. If you like to build resorts, it is a good sort of concept to have under your belt, and it can help make building hotels or even just buildings in general a lot simpler. And I've shown you already that sort of copy paste technique using the custom scenery objects or saving custom scenery. You understand what I'm talking about. So this is yet another application of it, and it is a really effective one in my opinion. So here you can see I'm starting with a staircase, and I'm proud of how this turned out. It's an interior staircase, and you'll see I put doors in here on each of the levels between the flights. And you'll notice I put the doors on the outside edge because those stairs, the edges of the top deck of each staircase hang over a little bit, so that helps to mask that railing and make it look as if the stairs actually going to a doorway. And you can see me just finishing off the balcony here. And it's hard to find things to talk about because building with modular pieces, it's a really great technique, and it honestly makes things really simple. So there's not a lot to explain, and I have almost 10 minutes of this time lapse footage to talk over. But here you can see I'm removing 2 of the rooms, and what I decided I wanted to do was add a corridor at the corner of the building. That way, if you arrive from the central staircase, you don't have to walk all the way around the perimeter if your room is on the other side. You can just go through that corridor, and it's basically a shortcut. And there I'm removing the floor because I figured it would be easier to delete an entire section, like delete all those railings at once that copied over with the room, and then place back the floor, as opposed to deleting the railings, sorry, one piece at a time. And up next, right here, what I did, instead of just putting flooring right back there, I decided to add a little bit of extra utility space. So in the bottom square that I just created, those will be, um, in the end, they're going to be basically housekeeping closets or storage for their extra linens and etc. And then I figured that little alcove on the top could be sort of like a vending machine space or the ice machine space. And you'll see I deleted the flooring in the little closet space. I will put that back later, but I wanted to add an elevator shaft, and that's what I'm doing here. When you design elevators in Rollercoaster Tycoon 3, one thing that I like to do is use the sliding glass door piece from the colored wall set, And I like to place that on an outside edge, and on an inside edge, I place the gray slate wall. And that basically makes it look like an opaque metal door, like you would see on an elevator. I'm not sure if I'll get a good angle of this later on, but if I remember, I'll try to put a screenshot in so you can see how that looks. And I think it is an effective way to make an elevator door. And you can see I tried to save the staircase as a custom scenery piece, but it didn't save the stairs. One technique I've found helps, and I found this as I was working on this project, is when you save custom scenery, um, it helps to have highlight the actual area of the scenery, but also highlight a at least one tile border around every piece to make sure everything gets included in the save. When I saved this entire hotel as a one giant piece, I included a border, and the staircases they saved with it. So um, that's my hypothesis. I don't know exactly how the mechanic works within the game, um, but doing that generally seems to help. And you can say just put a closet in on the one end, and I'm putting one in here. I'll end up deleting everything that's built out past that point and past the point of the staircase because it gets to be um, basically the building is one tile longer in one direction than it is in the other, which would make when I copy the building over to other foundations, it would essentially make the building not, it would make the complex not symmetrical, which I want it to be symmetrical and just I think that makes things easier in the long run, and it's a little better to do. So here you can see I created a custom scenery railing piece with all of the railings for 5 layers, and that's so in these little bits here, it makes placing the railings a whole lot easier in the end. I can just do it one tile at a time as opposed to one tile and one floor at a time, so it speeds things up. And the next thing you're going to see me do is get started with the roof piece. So I placed some roof tiles at the height of that the roof will be at. The ones I placed on the ground are just a reference point for when I saved it as a custom scenery piece. And here you can see me placing them all across the top of the building. And there's not much to that. Um, and the reason I went 4 wide and not 6 wide, which is the width of the building, as you can see here, I started to put the office roof edge piece along there, but I didn't like how it broke up the aesthetic of the building. So here you can see me saving another custom scenery piece. Ultimately, this wasn't necessary, but it did save a little bit of time after the troubleshooting, and I created a custom edge essentially out of the 1/3 height wall in the colored wall set. And you can see how that works here, and it just works. It works. It makes the building feel more uniform from top to bottom. If I had to change one thing about it now, I would probably use a 2/3 height wall just to add a little bit more of a border along the top of the building, and make it seem like less of an abrupt ending. But I really don't think doing that or the lack thereof adds to or hinders the project in such a way that it requires change. And lastly, I'm just adding some air conditioning units on the top, and that is everything. Just kidding. I actually have a couple more things I forgot about. So here you can see me placing some or deleting some of the railings on the ground floor, just so that way people could access, the actual hotel. And here you can see where I'm setting back the one side of the building by one tile, just so that way when I go to copy and paste it, everything will be symmetrical and all the buildings will be uniform. Yeah. So while I do that, I wanted to let you guys know that I will make the building you saw me build today. In addition to the modular hotel rooms, there will be an assortment of them available for your use on rctgo.com. And you can download that map and save those in your Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 game as their own custom scenery objects. Um, and you can use them however you want. You can customize them, you can color them, whatever you want to do to make it fit for your park. You can even use the building if you want. But that's everything I have for you guys today. So hope you guys have a nice day. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.